The views expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of WPSL. However, we are the ones that have encouraged you all along to like and share them on your favorite social media and with all your friends and neighbors, because Rudy's Health Insurance LLC presents at this time each week the African American Scene with your host, the one and only Rudy Howard.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Always glad to be with you here on a Wednesday night. My plan was to present you with an overview of Project 2025. I have secured a mountain of material, and I thought that I would be able to create my outline in time for the show. But it was far more information, and I don't want to do a less than stellar job in doing a presentation. I even have applications that are available if you want to apply for the potential Trump administration. I will just tell you what it's all about, and then next week, I will give you my in-depth analysis of Project 2025. And to the credit of conservatives, there's a 920-page report about this project, and it's not a secret. Let me give you the opening statement about Project 25. The actions of liberal politicians in Washington have created a desperate need and a unique opportunity for conservatives to start undoing the damage the left has wrought and build a better country for all Americans in 2025. It is not enough for conservatives to win elections. If we are going to rescue the country from the grip of the radical left, we need both governing agenda and the right people in place ready to carry out the agenda on day one of the next conservative administration. That is the opening salvo of Project 2025. And it just goes on from there. And there's details there that I need to do justice to, and I've read over them, but I'm not prepared to discuss them because you know how I am. I want to be able to defend anything I have to say, and I haven't completed all of my homework. Although I will tell you, there is actually an application that you can fill out. Let me tell you, boy, this is scary stuff, man. They not messing around. They are coming after you. They are coming after you, full bore, both guns blazing. Don't you dare not vote. Don't you dare not vote. They're coming after you, both guns blazing. Here's a sample question on the application. The future Trumpers would staff an unprecedented effort to centralize and expand presidential power. Basically, there are 4,000 seats appointed within each administration. Trump passed a piece of legislation in his final days that would allow him to wipe out 50,000 government jobs where people have been career people, and turning them into political appointments. This is really scary stuff. Now, you make sure you tune in to me next week And I will give you some of the details, and I am sure you will be as scared as me and as scared as the person who summarized this information. But what I do want to do with just making this statement is make sure every one of you get out the vote. We do have one piece of good news that happened last night. A woman in Alabama won an election for the Democratic Party in a special election, and she ran on a pro-choice agenda, openly advocating for a woman's right to choose in Alabama. And she didn't win by a little bit. She won by like 8 or 9 points. So I think that gives us some hope. But I'm telling you, when I get a chance to display what the agenda is for Project 2025, and a lot of it has been spearheaded by the Heritage Foundation, you better run out, tackle people, and tell all your family and friends to vote unless they're ready for the radical changes that conservatives plan to make if they are successful in getting Trump reelected as president. Having said all of that, we're having an open mic tonight. I will entertain anything that you wish to talk about. For a long time, I lived in the state of Maryland, and that Francis Scott Key Bridge going down has created a traffic nightmare that is going to be mind-blowing. Traffic there is already bad enough when you go into the Beltline trying to get into DC and the surrounding towns of DC. And I can imagine with the Francis Scott Key Bridge going down, it's just only going to really make the traffic horrible. So, and I'm sending prayers out for those families who had workers on the bridge who have not been recovered, and we have to assume they have met their demise. But anyway, what I would really like, I tried this before. I really am interested in people who are still supporting Donald Trump. I'd like to know why. What is your reasoning for supporting Donald Trump? One of the things that is typical in a presidential race, are you better off now than you were 4 years ago? I think the answer to that is yes. And Trump people say no. I was at my golf course today and I was listening to somebody talking about the horrible condition of America. And I'm thinking to myself, well, what America is that? I don't see America in a horrible condition. And another thing, a conservative that I know and I have debated about the student loan forgiveness. He sees that as an affront. And about a year or so ago, I had a young lady that called me up and she was debating me about that. And she didn't like it because she had to pay her student loans. I had to pay mine. And I still think it's a good idea. And I'm going to tell you why I think it's a good idea. Forgiving student loans is an economic winner for all of us. If they're not paying student loans, that means They can buy houses. They may be able to buy a house. They may be able to buy a car. They may be able to start a business that they otherwise wouldn't be able to do if they were shackled with those loans. Now, here's my argument. You're frustrated with that and think that that's wrong, but you're not frustrated with giving subsidies to big corporate farms. You're not frustrated with giving subsidies to oil companies that do research or pharmaceutical companies that do research. They get big subsidies from the government. But you don't want the little person who's got a $25,000 or $15,000 student loan to get a forgiveness. Please stop being selfish. I paid mine. I don't begrudge them for getting student loan forgiveness. I paid my damn loan. And I'm not mad about that. I'm supposed to be mad because I paid mine and they're not paying theirs? Come on. It's about humanity and then what's best for the country. Having people with more cash in their pocket is best for the country. Maybe they can now pay the daycare that they couldn't pay before. And without that loan, they can do it. Just think of all the possibilities that occur when that person is forgiven a student loan. Come on, there got to be some people out here who are okay with that. Got to be. But more importantly, I want you to tell me that I'm all wet and I don't know what I'm talking about, because this country is worse off under Biden than it was under Trump. And I'm going to tell you the same thing that I tell this conservative that I have many ongoing debates with. Don't tell me about suppositions. Don't tell me about maybes. Don't tell me about conspiracy theories. If there is factual, and let me make my point, my position perfectly clear. If you have information, concrete, that President Biden did something wrong, then it should be pursued. Pursue it. I won't deny your right to pursue that if he's done something wrong. But if he hasn't done anything wrong, this smokescreen fiasco that you did with Hillary and you're now trying to do with Biden is make enough smoke and throw enough dirt, and some of it will stick to him and make you suspect about your support for the candidate. Oh, come on. So I would tell you the lines are open, and that phone number is 340-1590. I want to hear from you. You think I'm all wet about my position on student loans and forgiveness? I'll listen to what you have to say. Maybe you can convince me that I'm wrong. I'd love to hear it. Maybe you can convince me that I'm wrong about Trump versus Biden. I would like to hear, or Frank's out there listening. Frank, I'd love to hear your point, because you stopped me one day wherever we were, I can't remember now, and gave me a quick lecture about Biden. I'm wondering if you're listening tonight, call up and defend Trump over Biden. Like to hear it. What's your defense? I certainly can defend my position about Biden. I think he's done a wonderful job thus far. And the one thing that you really wanted to criticize him about, the border, which warranted some criticism, he was able to help you put together a plan for that, and then you wouldn't vote for it. And now you want to turn around and say the border is still his fault and that he don't want to do anything about it. He helped to spearhead more than one plan to try to solve the border issue. So tell me, I'm listening. What did Trump do other than put people in cages and separate families? And that was supposed to be the motivator to stop people from uh, coming to the country, and it hasn't. And if you listen to some of the stories from the people that have left where they came from, and you know what? As much as uh, I have issues about the border, I'm going to ask you, and I'm going to take this phone call. I'm going to ask you to think of this. Imagine how bad things have to be for these people to walk hundreds of miles to try to get here. Yes, Steve. How are you, sir?
Good, Rudy. How are you?
Okay.
I wanted to tell you about this voting. It's up to the new generation, these younger people. They're going to have to get up and vote. And if they don't, they're done. It's over.
I agree,
I'll tell
Steve.
you what, the old parts on the Republican side are going to turn out in mass. If the Democrats do the same thing, start talking about what they've accomplished instead of playing this game with Trump, they'd be a lot better off. People want to know what they've been done for them, not what's going to be done for them.
Well, Steve, I would tell you, I think if the Democrats have a good turnout like they did in 2020, there's no way that we lose, because the reality is, and I'm sure you're going to agree with this, the majority of people do not believe in the conservative ideology.
That's correct. That's more than correct, because the conservative ideology is basically 1776 and the Redcoats.
Yeah.
You know, that's basically all it is. And this year with Roe v. Wade, and you talk about the border all you want, but the northern border is just as civilized as the southern border is. But you never hear about that.
Yeah.
Republicans have nothing to run on, so they're running on fear and hate. They haven't told you one thing they're going to do for you. How they're going to help you. And student loans, you got it right on the head. If he's not paying the loan, he's spending the money to small business, and everybody plays out. And
Oh,
to have an educated public is what we want, isn't that the goal?
well, Steve, why is that so hard to understand for people?
Well, I understand it.
Why is that so? It's such common sense. It is just common sense.
I know. They do not want to take their boot off the neck of the little guy so that he can get a fair shot. And this, they'll spend $18 billion on General Motors and not get paid back, but they don't want to spend $15 billion on a country where they're going to get paid back. That's insane.
It is, man. It is. And the most important thing is you said we want to have an educated community. The better education, the better educated our kids are, that's better for us as a country as a whole. There's no downside to that.
No, there's not. There's only an upside.
Yeah.
Uh, we
we
were
have
number one at one time in medicine and education, you name it. But we got cocky and we started thinking, oh, well, we'll get it done cheaper, we'll make more money and get a bigger boat. And we stopped valuing what we founded the country on, freedom. We started
yeah.
valuing the dollar.
Yes. And you know what? If you listen to conservatives, they would tell you that Democrats and liberals oppose freedom. No, and they got that wrong. We don't oppose freedom. And they don't want they think equity is injustice. And nobody's asking to put anybody else in a disadvantage. We're just asking everybody else get a fair shot. That's all. What's hard
Well,
about
let
that?
me tell you, Rudy, the other night a black gentleman said to me that he thought about voting for Trump. And I said, well, that's good. Trump likes to see the black people on his side, especially when they're wearing a maid's uniform or a butler's uniform. But other than that, I don't see him having any socialization with them.
Yeah,
Pretty cool.
but there are people out there that for some reason they buy his shtick. You know,
Yeah.
they buy it. He's got them sold. Listen, have you seen the latest? He's selling Bibles for $59. Leather covered Bibles. Yeah, leather covered Bibles for $59.
I'm surprised they don't catch fire.
Right? and he's
I mean,
selling.
Trump he's just the lowest of the low. You know, when you're scraping the bottom of the barrel, that's where you're going to find him.
He's a grifter, and I don't.
Yeah.
My mind is just blown that people keep falling for that.
I
He's
don't
so
understand people. 92 indictments, he's got a half a dozen convictions, and they're still saying, oh, he's a great guy. He's a talk show host that somebody ran for president.
yeah.
The other talk show host, Ronald Trickle-Down Reagan.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that should tell you something.
Unfortunately, the public goes for those guys that have a little charisma. And in Trump's case, he seems to try to purvey a swashbuckler's attitude, which is attractive to some people. But that
Well,
to
those
me,
people that are attracted to him, they want to think they're a swashbuckler, but
yeah,
they don't have the squash or the buckler.
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
they're posers.
yeah, yeah.
So, well, I'll let you go, Rudy, so you can talk to somebody else.
Okay, Steve. Thank you.
It was a pleasure talking with you.
Always a pleasure, Steve. Again, that phone number is 340-1590. I'm wide open tonight. You can talk about anything you want, and I will entertain it. NCAA, I got to tell you that that Caitlin Clark in Iowa, I have watched her now about 5 times, and I was a former basketball player, a little bit in high school and a little bit in college. And there was a time I would say that there was no woman could ever beat me in a game of basketball. But boy, I wouldn't say that anymore. There's some women out there that can flat out play. There's women out there doing dunks on the fast break. You know, the game has changed. And for some of you that are old enough to remember, initially in high school, when there was girls basketball, they were only allowed to go on one half of the floor. I don't even know how they came up with that, but I only think that lasted maybe my freshman year or something, or maybe my sophomore year. The girls could only play one half. Maybe if there's somebody listening, they can remember when the girls could only play half of the floor. There was a defense and offensive team, or however that worked. It's just so far in my memory banks, and that's so far gone now. But let me tell you something. These ladies can play. They can handle the ball and they can shoot, and some of them can rebound, and they have good moves inside. It's a pleasure to watch. And in fact, I think I saw the other day on CBS, the women's TV ratings are outranking the men. But I think a lot of that has to do with Caitlin Clark, because she's just such a phenomenal player. That little girl, well, little, she's 6 feet tall, but I mean, she can play. She can flat out play, and she can flat out shoot. And I look forward to how she fares when she gets in the WNBA. I don't think it's going to be much different, because this girl can really play. But I saw, was that the North Carolina game? And North Carolina's got a freshman, Davis. He had 32 points in the game against, forget who it was, and they blew him out. He really looked good. And I asked my buddy about, I was talking to him the other day. He said he's 6'4". I didn't realize he was that big. Yeah, he's 6'4". This kid can play. So keep your eye on this kid, Davis, at North Carolina. With a game like that, I wouldn't be shocked if he didn't play, if he didn't declare for the draft next year. I hope he doesn't. I really would like to see these guys play at least 2 years of basketball before they come out and go to the pros. There are, on occasion, some guys that really don't need that, like LeBron. LeBron came in and he lived up to the hype, which was just almost impossible to live up to, but he did. And Wemby, which is he's playing in San Antonio, he's something special. At 7'4" and can handle the ball like a guard. But for the most part, if you think about some of the great pros we've had in the past, most of them did a couple years of college. Michael Jordan did a couple of years. Charles Barkley did a couple of years. Allen Iverson did a couple of years. You know, guys did a couple of years, and you know, you can build on your fundamentals in college, which when you get to the pros, it's not time for your fundamentals. But again, the phone lines are open. If you want to call up and talk about Gaza, if my friend Rocky is listening tonight and you want to call up and talk about Gaza, you're welcome to do so, because I know you listen from time to time if you're not too busy in the store. If you want to talk about anything you want to talk about. And I am interested in you calling me up and defending your support of Donald Trump. And that number is 340-1590. We're going to take a little break. And again, I want to hear your defense of Donald Trump. I am open. I want to listen. I want to learn from you. Tell me why he's a better choice than Joe Biden. And Cliff is going to give us a little break here. I think.
We can do that.
Don't you touch that dial, because we'll be back. And again, that number is 340-1590. That's 340-1590.
And you're listening to the African American Scene with Rudy Howard, presented each week during the 6 o'clock hour by Rudy's Health Insurance, LLC. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is Rudy Howard, your independent insurance agent. This means I represent multiple companies, which will allow me to match you with the best company for your needs. I am now officially Rudy's Health Insurance LLC. So, if you need a Medicare plan or a health plan, call me. That number is 475-8856 or my Facebook page, Rudy's Health Insurance. I am ready to serve you.
This is WPSL Port St. Lucie, the talk of the Treasure Coast.
By the way, Rudy, you've got a caller on the line right now. It's Winnie is with us.
Hey, Winnie, how are you, my friend?
All right. That good talk here that the show listen to you.
Oh, Rocky was listening?
I saw it on the news that he's selling the Bible, $9.
Yeah.
He got it going. I can find none of his.
It's a leather covered Bible, $59. Huh? Are you gonna buy one?
I checked out the Democrats. I will be vote for Joe Biden and half and everything. So I'm not supporting no Donald Trump. And when he was in the chair, he did nothing for me. Like he didn't change my life, nothing like that. But Biden and half, they done a good job.
Oh, you think they've done it? You think they've done it?
Loan forgiveness. My daughter, she has student loans to pay, but they paid it off.
Uh-huh.
In the Rudy.
So your daughter was one of those people?
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh. So that's made her life a lot better, huh?
Yeah. They had paid her student loan off forgiveness.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Joe Biden had that going on.
Yep.
She, she's a social worker. She is a social worker and everything. Yeah,
well,
that's a good program.
Those are the people that he was trying to help. People that are doing work like your daughter, social workers. Yeah.
Get my ballot, voting ballot in there. All those Democrats, things like this. Yeah, so that Donald Trump was like, he got so much legal fees, food, 400 million, my goodness. It's got it going on. It's in the news. I'm telling you. Have a good night. I'm going for Joe Biden and
Okay, I'm glad you finally came around. Thank you for calling, Willie. Now, for those of you that are not regular listeners, Winnie was a Trump supporter in the past, and she's come around. And as you heard her say, her daughter, who's a social worker, got student loan forgiveness, which has been very beneficial to her. But and let me tell you something. What the Biden administration did with that bridge in Philadelphia was a marvel. He focused all his resources to make sure that that bridge got repaired in record time. I would tell you this. Katie, bar the door. Watch Joe go to work. He's going to help get that Francis Scott Key Bridge fixed in record time. You heard it first from me. I am confident, beyond confident, that that's going to happen because he understands what an important artery that is to the Maryland traffic network. It will happen. And then I want you to tell me, after he gets that done, that is still do nothing, because the do nothing is not Joe Biden. The do nothing is the Congress who continues to fight among themselves and get mad if the leader does not do exactly what the right wing wants them to do. What a sad state of affairs. I got to be honest with you. And if you haven't noticed, more and more, there are Republicans leaving the Republican Party and becoming independents. Not so, there's some going to the Democratic Party, but a lot of them leaving and going independent. And you know what? I wouldn't want to stay with them. They're embarrassing. They fight about everything. And they don't want to do anything. That is the worst record for bills handled in the history of the country last year. It did nothing. And then you want to criticize Joe Biden, and you have a majority Republican House that can't do anything because they get mad at each other and they act like little babies when they can't get their way. Because, listen, they did that to themselves because they have decided compromise is a curse word. So they don't want to compromise on anything. So if they say they want to go right and the other side says, I want to go to the middle of the ground, and the other side says, I want to go left, nothing happens. And Marjorie Taylor Greene has not formally submitted, but raised the issue of ousting Mike Johnson as Speaker of the House because he's going to go along with approving a bill for our budget to keep the government going. Wow, what a horrible thing that is being done there. How ridiculous is that? You're going to oust the Speaker of the House because he agreed to a compromise to keep our government going. And you know, let me say this other thing, which really gets under my skin. This is something that really, really bugs me. When Democrats are in power, the budget is always an issue. We spend too much. We're not prudent about our finances. But when Republicans are in power, they spend like drunken sailors. And it's never an issue there. But it's always an issue when the Democrats are in power, because that's an issue they choose to run on. Now the issue they choose to run on is cultural issues. They don't want any more DEI programs. Now I'm going to say this, and I'm saying this to all the parents listening to me. If you have a child that's graduating from high school and is going to college, if they are a very talented athlete or a very talented student, send them to an HBCU. If they don't want to have diversity, equity, and inclusion on the major campuses of this state, and we have some good schools, we have some very good schools, send them to an HBCU. There's some good HBCU schools. Howard University is a good HBCU. Morehouse is a good HBCU. Spelman's a good HBCU. There's good HBCU schools. Go where you're wanted. Don't go where you're not wanted. Don't let your talented athlete go to a school where they are not caring about how the students who are non-white get treated. Don't let them go there. That's my spiel for the night for sure. And I'm serious about that. I think that if they want to push this issue, and I don't know why, because it's not in diversity, equity, and inclusion is not to harm white people. Dang it. I don't know why you can't get that in your head. It's not about harming you. It's trying to uplift people that otherwise have not had equitable opportunities. Why are you opposed to that? You think that's taken away from you? I don't want to take anything from you. I don't want your money. I just want my grandkids to have an opportunity to be successful. The same opportunities that I've had. And that's what all of us want for our kids. I want the same thing for my kids that you, my white brothers and sisters, want for your kids. For them to have a good education, live in a nice community, have a nice family, and have a happy life. That's universal. There's no color on that. That's called trying to live the American dream. The DEI programs were meant to help people make adjustments. I will just tell you, I went to a predominantly white school, and we had a black program in my school called Pride. The students before my freshman year had taken over the administration building and demanded that they be more open to allowing minority students to come into the school. And they created this organization, Pride. Persons Ready in Defense of Ebony. And when we got there, we were the first of a section of black kids. And if you went to my school today, you would never believe what I'm telling you, because it's probably about half minority right now. But my freshman year, there was 25, I think it was 25 of us that came in. And Pride was our headquarters. And we would go to the Pride House to meet, to have parties. We talked to some of the council. We had a counselor there who would talk to us and give us guidance and assist us if we had issues that we were trying to deal with on campus. And it made the whole transition for a lot of kids a lot better than if we had none, because kids had trouble. I can think of one young lady, an outstanding student that came from Boston. She had never had a B. She had straight A's all the way through high school. And at the end of the first semester, she was on academic probation. And I remember her sitting in that office crying and boohooing, and she was so upset. And you know what? She got back on track, and she was just the greatest student as she ever was. And then there's more of those stories. And then, you know, from a social aspect, that was where we all went after class. We could go there and hang out and talk to each other and share stories about what was going on campus. And it wasn't to the exclusion of white folks. It was to help us, who were the minority on campus, to adjust to an environment many of us were not used to. Now, I came from a mixed community, so I was in a better position than a lot of my brothers and sisters, because some of them came from the Bronx, from Camden, from Philly, and they had grown up in entirely Black neighborhoods. So it was quite an adjustment for them, and even for me, because I had one roommate that I thought I was going to kill him, but he moved out, and then I had another roommate who was a Jewish guy that I loved to death, and I wish I could find him because he was a great guy. But it was all an experience, and don't you want? I God, I hope my grandkids get that experience to meet people from different walks of life and learn about other people's culture. And my grandkids are going to be pretty well rounded because they're biracial kids, so they've got already exposure to Black side and a white side. But kids need to have a full range of experiences, and I endorse that. And we don't want to take anything away from you. Please stop thinking that. I don't want you to think I want to take from you and give to me. That's not what it is all about. I just want you to understand, we just want to uplift the Black folks that are trying to be successful. And I would think that you would want that. Wouldn't you want to have Black people in your community that are successful and can make a contribution to your community? But no, you want to complain about diversity, equity, and inclusion like those old curse words? What's wrong with that? Can somebody tell me what you find wrong with diversity, equity, and inclusion? I don't get it. Correct me, educate me, make me understand, because I don't understand that. And that's a cultural war that conservatives are fighting that is deeply offensive. And what I'm saying to you right now is coming from, there's a lot of Black folks I know that feel just like what I'm telling you right now, that there is nothing wrong with diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's nothing but uplifting people. You don't want to uplift people? I want to uplift you. I would uplift you if there was a program that helped uplift you. I would help you get uplifted. I'd have no problem with that. You've got plenty of programs that uplift you. So we're down to the last 5 minutes. So if you want to call and you want to chew me out, you better hurry up and do it because you don't have much time. That number again is 340-1590. That's 340-1590.
Rudy, sometimes I feel like when they don't want to call in and argue with you, they probably agree with you.
Yeah.
I think you've won more people over than you might think. And you may have won more people over than most of the audience thinks. Because you're not the everyday average run-of-the-mill conservative talk show. You're a different type of show. It's a different perspective that our audience needs to hear. Because you hear all the perspectives, and that's what's great about Rudy Howard's African American scene, and of course, Rudy Health Insurance LLC. If you're going to turn 65, I got to tell you something, Dr. Rudy, he can hook you up with a customized insurance plan that'll fit your needs, right?
Yes, sir. That's true.
And now we got just 4 minutes left. It's too bad they waited until the end of the show because I think next week, we could challenge them even more. Whether you agree or disagree, you're still allowed to call the show and make comments.
Absolutely.
Because we want to hear what everybody has to say.
Well, next week I will present the information on Project 2025. Like I said, I have a whole ream of information over here, but I didn't get enough time to organize it and put it in the outline so I could present it properly. So, but I will be ready next week, and I think that I will open some eyes, and I will probably scare the hell out of some people when you see the plan that's in place should Trump be successful in winning the nomination for president again.
All right.
So, but we got 3 minutes left. Well, I went on my little rant there talking about the diversity, equity, and inclusion, and I gave you the example of what my experience was in college and how beneficial that was for me. And I hope that I opened your eyes at least to consider the fact that that's not a negative situation. And it should not, and some people are looking at it as a put down to white folks, and that's not the case at all. Not at all. It is to help people make adjustments. And we got Nick on line 1. Yes, Nick.
Yes, hi. Things about Donald Trump. He's nothing more than a pathological lie. And anybody who votes for him has got the same mentality as him. He's nothing more than a car salesman. You know, Rudy, you know, it's been said 100 times. He's nothing more than a liar. So that's my comment. And have a good day.
Thank you, Nick.
Hey, just in time. We got just 2 minutes left now.
Yeah.
Take a lot of calls in the next 2 minutes.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
great. That's great. The lines are always open on this show every Wednesday evening, 6:05 till 7. You're welcome to tune in, but call in as well. Share your comments.
Yes, absolutely. We want to hear what you have to say. And my point tonight is, most importantly, I want to get away from this cultural wars, the CRT and the diversity, equity, and inclusion debate, because those things you think those are designed to put down white folks, and they're not. And I explained to you once before, CRT is information that's valuable to help build self-esteem for young